Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Latest Vikings news.
That's right. It's a Monday, so it's time for latest Vikings news here on Purple Daily.
I love Vikings news.
We all do, Judd. But before we get into the latest Vikings news, and Judd has a hot take on this Monday here, I don't think it's a hot take to say that Quick Trip is the place you could jumpstart your week at, huh?
It's great. It is the greatest place to start your week because it's Monday, right? It's dreary out today, and you're saying to yourself, oh, what good is life? What good? I forgot my lunch, too. Oh, darn it. And I'm going to tell you right now, well, that's fine because Quick Trip has everything that you could possibly need. Lunch? Heck yeah. Dinner? Heck yeah, too. The chicken? Fantastic. I'm going to tell you right now, do you want a simple, easy way to feed the family? You stop at Quick Trip, you get their chicken. You can also get a snack there. Everything. Fill up the car. If you don't want to go inside a Quick Trip, that's fine too, because guess what? You put the app on your phone like Dex did long ago, and you can get your food. You get your food right away, delivered to you essentially. Quick Trip, making life as easy as possible on a Monday that's dreary when life never seems like it's easy.
Yeah, well, on a dreary Monday, you're probably going to fire up the Roku TV, or if you haven't already purchased a Roku TV, let me tell you why we love Roku TV around here, because they make it really easy for one to find all the sporting events across all the different platforms. It's kind of confusing. Like we all wanted a la carte like 10 years ago. Just give me what I want, right? And now here it is. And now you're like, what channel or what platform is this thing on? Or is it on multiple different ones? And the Sport Zone built into the Roku menu helps you, A, find the game you're looking for, but B, you can favorite and follow the teams that you enjoy. It's perfect for the chaos of sports viewing. The Roku TV in the Mackie living room, 65-inch Pro Series TV is the thing that brings us together to wind down at the end of the night, whether it's movies, TV shows. We just watched a great Vince Vaughn movie. It's Nanas on Netflix.
It just came out, I think.
Real good. Little tear jerker.
Yep.
I'm not going to spoil anything. And also Talia Shire, Adrian Balboa, I guess, returning to acting. Nice. Never seen her in anything outside of a Godfather or a Rocky movie.
You can't win, Rock.
Very nice.
You can't win.
There's no air on the moon. There's no air for him either.
So check them out, Roku.com, to learn more about these glorious TVs. All right, gentlemen.
Latest Vikings news.
Pro Football Focus put out a list over the weekend. The most underrated player on each NFL roster. And we were kind of texting about this over the weekend, so I'm not unveiling anything you guys don't know yet, or maybe anything that Vikings fans don't know, because I feel like everyone appreciates this player. But how do you feel about Blake Cashman being named by Pro Football Focus the most underrated player on the Vikings roster?
I think it's probably fair because if you consider what we expected when he was signed, right, which was, former Gopher coming home, injury prone at the time as well. I think we thought it was fine, but then you saw him play, and when he did play, he was absolutely fantastic. So, yeah, because I would say personally, from my point of view, I underrated what he was going to bring. I thought he was going to be a stabilizer, a good player, a decent, but I mean, he was, at times he made a difference, which I guess I didn't expect. And then, of course, Flores talked about the fact that Blake Cashman, as a player, was referred to him. He put in some tape to watch Blake Cashman playing. I think it was for Houston at the time, and said, oh, my God, this guy fits my system. So I think it's a very fair one, and I think it's probably accurate as far as what we expected versus the return that we got.
Yeah, I'd even argue, too, that when he was out of the lineup, right, he missed like weeks 6 through 9 last season, and Vikings lost to the Lions. They lost to the Rams during that stretch. He was this kind of linchpin. I don't think we expected to have this amount of hold on the Vikings defense, and he was great against the run. He could still also get after the quarterback a bit, so I think we were all pleasantly surprised. If he stays on the field for more than the 12 games he had last year, I mean, that's even bigger, but when he was off the field, like, the Vikings defense suffered, and they missed him greatly.
Yeah, and here's the write-up from Pro Football Focus too. It said Cashman is a relative unknown in the NFL as a former 5th-round pick who outside. I mean, obviously we know him from being a Gopher and now a Viking, but unless you're a diehard fan of the league, you probably or a Texans fan, I guess, you probably don't really know who he is. But outside of his rookie season and prior to becoming a starter in 2023, he had failed to crack 150 defensive snaps in 3 straight years. However, Cashman broke out in a big way in 2023 with the Texans. He had a top 10 PFF overall grade for his position, which helped him land that 3-year contract with the Vikings. And then he also ranked out of the 90 qualified inside linebackers, he was 22nd in overall PFF grade and very, very evenly highly rated across both run defense and dropping back into coverage. He was also unleashed as a blitzer multiple times per game. So he can kind of do, you could argue that like Ivan Pace, who I might put on this list as underrated Vikings, Ivan Pace is probably better at one thing than Cashman is at any one thing. Moving forward, run stuffing. But Ivan Pace is a liability in coverage. Cashman's really good at everything. He can drop back into coverage. He can rush the passer. He can tackle in the run game. He has a nose for the football, as they might say. So I think it's like we hear underrated. I feel like he's very much appreciated among Vikings fans and the Gopher connection. Minnesotans know who Blake Cashman is, but outside of the purview of Vikingsville, I think the only other name besides Ivan Pace I would put on this list, and curious if you guys have more. Josh Oliver once again last year was the number 1 run blocking tight end in the NFL, according to PFF's metrics. He also had 0 drops as a guy that was filling in at times as the number 1. Like when Hawkinson was out, Oliver was getting targeted. He had like 30 targets or something last year. So reliable, didn't drop anything, yards after the catch. So I think there's a few different candidates here for most underrated player on the Vikings roster.
That's a good one. A guy that I would say the phrase itself might not completely apply to, but I think that we did not expect as much from, and he broke out as well going into 2024, Byron Murphy Jr., because he's a guy that, he had an okay first year here, and I think we all thought, okay, yeah, he's fine, but he's gone after 2 years, and he took his play up, several notches. So, but yeah, Oliver definitely, it's funny, that 2024 tight end room without Hawkinson before he came back is probably underappreciated as a whole too, because say what you want, but Oliver stepped in and played well. And I feel like when he signed here, he was sort of sold to us as, oh, he can't catch. He just can't catch. He'll block. And it's like, no, he actually can catch just fine.
Yeah.
And then last season as well, my guy, Johnny Mutt, who played a ton. Like for a third tight end, that dude played a lot. So I do think that with Hawkinson out, it could have, I don't know if gone sideways might be too strong, but it definitely could have not gone well. And I think it went okay because they had a couple of guys at least who might not be like breakout superstar players at all, but they are definitely reliable. And at the end of the day, I think at tight end, if nothing else, you have to rely. Like there has to be, you can't not play in today's game tight ends. So yeah, that's a good one. I like it.
Yeah. We've gone over this a couple times, but as a reminder for Josh Oliver, in college, San Jose State, his last year there was 2018. He caught 56 passes for 709 yards, handful of touchdowns. So all right, he wasn't necessarily, the Bowling Green kid that Thor talked about that went for like 1,400 yards. But yeah, he wasn't just a blocker in college. He could catch passes. And I think for a number 2 tight end as a change of pace guy, super reliable. So, but Blake Cashman was given the crown for most underrated Viking, according to Pro Football Focus.
Anybody got any Vikings news?
Well, yes, we do, Judd. We have more. In fact, Declan's going to... I feel like we've already done a variation of this exercise.
Kind of did. I was doing it last night, and I was like, we've kind of done this, but it's nice to maybe do it again. That's kind of what I was looking at when I was redoing it last night.
It's a refresher course.
I almost texted you
it's
guys
summer school
in the middle of it saying, like, we kind
Pretty
of did
sure we've
this.
already done this.
Kind of done this, but let's do it again, I guess. Is kind of where I looked at it.
But it was like 2 months ago, and
Well,
I
the
don't
schedule
know.
wasn't set yet.
Yeah.
The opponents were set. Like, everything's changed.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to describe this on Friday. Everything changes when the dates and the weeks come out.
Yeah, Declan likes to spend his spare time just ranking things in tiers. And so he's going to bring to us here opposing quarterbacks the Vikings are going to face on their schedule ranked in tiers. And I will say that according to Warren Sharp and other measurements, whether it's strength of schedule, looking back at last year's records or this year's projected Vegas over-under win totals, the Vikings have one of the 5 hardest schedules in the NFL. And I did some adding up here early this morning. The opposing quarterbacks the Vikings have on their schedule have combined for 42 career playoff wins and 28 combined career Pro Bowl appearances. In fairness, I'm putting Russell Wilson and Joe Flacco
Okay, yeah.
in as starting
cheating
quarterbacks.
a little bit, maybe. Yep.
And it's
They're
not
on the
quite.
tiers. They're on the tiers.
It's not quite like facing them
high.
maybe 9 years ago.
Right.
So, all right. So Declan is going to rank the opposing quarterbacks in tier form here.
All right, I want to pop this guy up on the screen here. Here we go. All right.
Look at this production
Tier
right
maker
now.
here.
Wow.
Yep. Here we go.
Wow.
Nice,
Look
okay.
at this. Oh man.
Yeah, we're
Oh,
gonna go
wow,
up a
the
little bit.
first
We're gonna
one,
go up a little bit.
very-
We're gonna go up a little bit. I'm trying.
Okay,
to
yeah, we
want
wanna-
to.
okay.
Is that looking all right?
I love Burrow.
Looking all right.
I love the myimage.png labeling of this here too.
You can thank tiermaker.com that just made that for me. So it made life. You could really remember that. My image. Actually, I'm a little surprised there isn't a duplicate in my downloads folder of myimage.png. So let's start at the top here because I think there's a mountain and then there's another little cliff and then there's something at the bottom here. They have a lot of tough guys in the schedule, but then there's also some softies. But let's start at the top, and this is just the good luck tier. Good luck against Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow. Lamar Jackson having won multiple MVPs, being the biggest dual threat guy in the NFL. Joe Burrow, who went to a Super Bowl, is a precision passer. Yes, that defense isn't good, so like beating the Bengals is totally obtainable, but he could potentially absolutely pick you apart. And I would still say between him and Lamar, these are the toughest 2 quarterbacks you're going to face on the entire schedule. So these 2 get their own tier, and it's the good luck tier.
Good luck to them, is what you mean.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good luck to them.
I like that.
You come into our house.
Okay.
You come into our house. You come into our house and tell me good luck to the Vikings. No, I think that's fair. And among the quarterbacks that I am personally like looking forward to see in person, those 2 and then at least one on your second row qualify. But it's gonna be fun though on Jackson and Burrow too, to see what Flores attempts to throw at them, because I think both of them have the advantage of, I don't believe that they're going to get rattled like a lot of quarterbacks do when they play here. It's loud. It can be intimidating. I don't think that they're going to get intimidated. So yeah, I am very much in very different ways because their play styles are different. Looking forward to seeing what those 2 guys can do against this defense.
Yeah, those are. I think we're all in agreement that there's 4 guys at the top of the quarterback pecking order in the NFL, and you probably still put Patrick Mahomes number 1 just based on his pedigree, but it's Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow that are putting up. Those guys are in the MVP race. Those guys are carrying a huge load of the offensive touches and productivity. Burrow led the NFL in yardage and touchdown passes last year. Lamar Jackson probably should have won his 3rd MVP, but he has 2 under his belt. So, yep, those guys are definitely in that mix of the 4 best quarterbacks in the NFL. It's very fair.
And with Burrow too, to Judd's point of going to environment. I mean, that guy's just like a stone-faced killer, and no matter where he is, still the only QB I believe to win multiple games in Arrowhead in the Mahomes era. So he's gone into there before and has won multiple games. So it's those are 2 guys that you're gonna have some problems with. Next tier, it is an ode to the Minnesota Twins, the don't let them get hot tier. This is Jaden Daniels, Jared Goff, and Jalen Hurts. Now, Jaden Daniels was a rookie last year, and I do think there probably is a somewhat of a step back, but still another dynamic guy that could shred you. Jared Goff has done it before. He has shredded you, and he has really risen back up here in the last 3 years with the Lions. So I still keep him in the don't let him get hot tier, because if he can get on a run, he can slay you over the middle of the field. And Jalen Hurts, who has been to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years, I know there's a big part of his career and success with one play. You still don't get to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years by just one single play. That guy can absolutely still be really damn good. So out of respect and out of him being the Super Bowl champion too, I'm still going to put him in the don't let him get hot tier.
I would have maybe opted for a separate tier for Jalen Hurts called the "It depends on how they vote in the Twin Cities this week" tier.
That's right.
Because that vote, the Minneapolis is the epicenter. I guess Eagan, right, is the epicenter for league meetings.
Vikings Lake hotels. That's
yes.
Exactly right.
And they're going to vote on the fate of the tush push history.
You can thank the Packers too. Everyone always brags on the Packers.
It's the Packers, yeah, because the Packers came out and said, we object to this play, and I think they were asked why, and they said, because we're not good at stopping it, which is the lamest excuse, but it might, you know what? It might not be a thing. The tush push might not be a thing. Phil's right. After they vote, I think the meetings, they're Tuesday and Wednesday, correct? I think that's when they're going to meet. So, yeah, we'll find out. I love it.
All right, so the next tier is the could go either way tier. There's 3 guys in it. It's Jordan Love, Dak Prescott, and Justin Herbert.
Great.
There's been times where the Vikings have been okay against Jordan Love, and Jordan Love has also been an interception machine and, has kind of shipwrecked games, but he's athletic enough where he could, also dagger the Vikings. Dak Prescott, veteran guy who I think a lot of people have ragged on a lot and maybe have limited where they have put him like 5 years ago. But he's still a veteran QB that's been around long enough that, hey, if things go the right way, like that could get out of control. It is in Dallas, correct? So it could go either way. And then Justin Herbert, he has the most talent here. Everyone's waiting for Justin Herbert to graduate into the elite status. Yes, he has the tools to do so. I don't think it's fair, though, to put him in the top 2 tiers yet, even though he might have shown athleticism and whatnot. The results to me haven't spoken that. So I put these 3 guys, Jordan Love, Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, in the could go either way tier.
Your grappling with Herbert might be one of my favorite small things on this show, because I would say this. I would personally put him in tier 2, because if he gets hot, he can destroy you. Now, I realize the playoff game sort of validated your thoughts, but I think Herbert belongs in the second tier, because I saw the game that he played here, and it might have been against the Donatel defense, so that plays a role. But the game that he played here, that dude's ability to get off passes and start to cook was impressive. But I find it a little bit offensive as a football fan that Dak Prescott and Herbert are in the same tier. But that's just me. But then again, Dex, you love Jordan Love.
I do like Jordan
Or
Love.
you like him more.
Yeah.
So I think that you could have made a case that you could probably have put Jordan Love in tier 2. I might put Love and Herbert in don't let them get hot territory.
I would say, as the number one Justin Herbert stan on the show here, I would say I'm fine with Declan. Judd being offended by Herbert and Dak being next to each other. I'm gonna defend that for a second, because Dak Prescott is not that far removed from a 2023 season where he led all quarterbacks in completions, touchdown passes, and had a 105.9 passer rating. It was across. He was second in AP MVP voting in 2023. That was a 12-win season for Dallas. People kind of have written him off because of the injury and the weird year last year, but Dak can sling it. I look at this tier and say, at their best, Herbert, Dak, and Jordan Love, at their best, are fringe top 5 quarterbacks in the league. But they don't give you their best as often as Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and some of the other quarterbacks that are more regularly in that territory. And the meltdown in the playoffs does have to be factored in to some extent with Herbert in terms of his status among the best quarterbacks in the league. In terms of his status on a Thursday night in the middle of the season, he can make your life really hard.
Exactly.
Also, he's not throwing the ball that much. Like, that offensive system in Jim Harbaugh, they've kind of put the training wheels on him a little bit, like Harbaugh did with J.J. McCarthy in college. So I'm not offended by this. As a Justin Herbert stan, I can live with this.
Don't let him get hot.
Don't let him get hot.
That's all I got to say.
All right, next tier. The shouldn't be a problem tier. That's right. There's another tier underneath this, too, by the way. So shouldn't be a problem tier. 4 guys in it. For YouTube, you can see it. For the podcast audience, it is Caleb Williams, Jackson Dart, Michael Penix, and Sam Darnold.
Wow.
This shouldn't be a problem tier. Now, the Bears have done a lot to improve. They've done a lot like the Vikings have. They spent a lot in free agency. They had a really interesting draft. There's playmakers around him. Until I see it from Caleb Williams, he is in the shouldn't be a problem tier. Now, this could be elevated after a week 1 loss in Chicago, like I picked on the schedule. Maybe Caleb Williams is a problem for 2025. But the evidence that I have in front of me, he does not belong in either one of the 3 tiers above. And the other guys, like I know Jackson Dart's a rookie, so shouldn't be a problem. Penix, again, small sample size. I can't really put him above this as well. And Darnold, although having a career renaissance year, I don't see KOC and Brian Flores having a problem with facing Sam Darnold. And, I mean, it's still Sam Darnold as a Seahawks quarterback pending an injury. It's late in the season they play them, but shouldn't be a problem. So those are 4 guys in that tier.
Is Jackson Dart the only Giants representative on this list at quarterback?
No, I believe there's one more.
Oh, and that person is below Jackson Dart?
What? Wow. And oh my goodness, I love this list because it's just flat out disrespect. I love the disrespect here.
Yeah.
Do we
Sam
think
Darnold, go away. You're not here anymore.
Week 16 Giants, is Jackson Dart going to play in that game?
I think so.
That's starting that game.
I think you might be right.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think he'll start that game.
Yep.
Yeah,
I could totally see that.
I'm all here for the Caleb Williams disrespect too, because everything about that dude has been a red flag since the moment he cried in his parents' arms at USC 2 years ago. And now, like, why is there a book being written about the intricate details of you not wanting to be drafted by the Bears? Why is this a story? Because you're immature, your parents are weird, and apparently you don't know how to look at film. Like, you're literally a multi-million-dollar college quarterback who comes to the NFL and doesn't know how to watch film or can't seek out the right way to watch film. Yeah, the coaching staff's a disaster, but everything's adding up to Caleb Williams potentially being an epic disaster for Chicago, and I am here for it.
But he told you guys exactly what would be the difference if he could have just come here with KO. He would be high on this list.
He would be better. He would be
yeah,
better.
I know
off.
he would be. But I'm saying he told you, don't send me to Chicago, and then they did. And the Darnold disrespect to me, the highlight of this shouldn't be a problem category.
Well, could I? I'm gonna defend Dex on this one too. I think it is very disrespectful to put Sam Darnold and Jackson Dart in the same category, like wildly disrespectful. But it's not disrespectful to put Sam Darnold behind the 8 other quarterbacks above him on this list.
I'm not bashing Dex here. I'm saying the flat out disrespect makes me chuckle.
This is like when you're boarding an airplane, right? And you get, if you're like a Sky Priority member, you get zones, right? Like you're near the top, and for whatever reason, Sam Darnold's in zone 7, despite like earning a bunch of Sky Miles last year. He's
by the bathroom.
Like he's like, what the hell? These people, I don't even know these people.
Why am I right by the bathroom?
Yeah, I'm in row 12. Why am I in zone 7 with the last people to board the plane?
Close the door, sir.
All right, and the last guys on this list, an ode to my one of my favorite shows, SpongeBob. It's a great quote. It's the "Oh brother, these guys stink" tier. 4 guys on the list. It's Russell Wilson, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph. These are your 4 guys that are in the "Oh brother, these guys stink" tier. Russ is cooked, Flacco's cooked, Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph. I mean, they go even beyond shouldn't be a problem. These guys stink. So these 4 guys round out the final tiers of this list. Yeah, that's mostly it here. That's what I got for my quarterback tier list. So,
I am delighted, despite the fact that this exercise repeated itself to a certain degree from a month ago or so. I am delighted because I think you upped your game. I'm going to tell you right now, I think you came back stronger. These categories and how they're done are superior to your first time.
So you're saying before this tier started, you had Dex in the could go either way tier with this tier.
I thought you did a
could go either way, and now now don't let me get hot. I have graduated to don't let me get hot for tiers.
Oh brother, these guys stink tier to me is it's a definite growth in your tiering system.
It's still I feel like Jackson Dart just sitting there with his college mugshot. You know, he's got like the Ole Miss
I had to
headband.
search for that too. That was not like available on Pro Football Reference, so I had to search for that one.
No, I don't think they've gotten to the picture day yet. When's picture day usually for the headshots? Is that training camp, Judd, or is that during?
I think it's the start of training camp.
voluntaries. Okay.
I think. I'm not sure. That's a good question. But Dart looks like it's great too because his smile is genuine. Like, I'm in college, life is good. Everybody else has like a National Football League, the season is starting smile look.
Yes.
Like, oh, I'm delighted.
Well, yeah, Russ, let me pull up because I think Pro Football Reference, I won't be able to do this for the audience in time, but I think when you click on their photos on Pro Football Reference, it shows you like all of their photos across the years. Maybe I'm wrong. But I feel like Russell Wilson is mean mugging now after like 4 tumultuous seasons and being positive Russ. You know, go Broncos or whatever. What was the Broncos thing? Let's ride.
That's right.
Whatever it was.
Yeah, Broncos
now
country.
Now he's like, all right, I'm just gonna stare at the camera.
Yeah, because your career is winding down.
So those are Dex's quarterback tiers.
Bravo, Dex. Good job.
Thank
Love
you.
it.
Vikings news.
Judd, you asked for, and this is where we're going to need you to cut a different sounder at some point. It's not as much Vikings news, but it's like a Vikings thing of interest.
Yeah.
And some people have sent us some ways we can tee that up here. But
Yep.
you asked about screen game statistics a week ago here.
Yes, I did.
And I am going to provide you more Vikings screen game statistics than you can ever wrap your head around. After we shout out Rula, who is jumping on board here on Purple Daily.
Yeah, so let's talk some therapy. So therapy was something that was super beneficial for me at one point in my life. I needed to talk to someone to get some things off my chest and get some clarity. And Rula is here. They're on a mission to make high-quality mental health care from a licensed professional easy and affordable. They've also got you covered. They take most insurance plans. The average copay is just $15 per session. So now you can get the quality care that you need at a price you can afford. And thousands have already trusted Rula to support them on their journey to improved mental health. All you have to do, Purple Daily audience, you head on over to rula.com/purple to get started today. After you sign up, you can tell them where you heard about this. Go to rula.com/purple and take the first step towards better mental health. You deserve quality care from someone who cares, and that is Rula.
Also, mark your calendars for the 2nd annual Minnesota Garage Build Bike Show, powered by Dennis Kirk. That's coming up here in just a few weeks, Saturday, June 7th at Running Aces. And if you've been building something in your garage, working hard, a homemade build or a renovation of a bike, and you're looking to show this thing off, this is the place to do it. You can register. Kids and family are welcome. It's open and free to register your bike to attend. So check out the details, DennisKirk.com, which is your home for riding season 2, 185,000 parts, apparel, and accessories, DennisKirk.com. And one more shout out to a North American banking company, which is powering Purple Daily throughout the offseason here. 6 metro locations, Maple Grove, Roseville, Shoreview, Hastings, Woodbury, and 50th in France. North American Banking Company is here to help you with everything from the basics, checking and savings, if you're just looking for a more personalized banking experience, or if you're looking to finance a home and you need help with the mortgage process, or you're launching a business or something of that nature, you can get help and have a better banking experience at North American Banking Company, Minnesota-based since 1998. nabankcode.com/Mackey to learn more. That's nabankcode.com/Mackey. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
So much Vikings news.
Okay, so we were wondering last week from Judd's question, what about the Vikings screen game? Is it good? How does it compare to maybe other teams in the league? So I'm just going to throw, and this is like notes for Judd's camp notes here. All right, this is ammunition for Judd's camp notes to go and throw some questions at KOC and use his little field glasses to see if the Vikings are redesigning some concepts.
Essential.
So the Vikings ran, of their pass attempts, 11% of them were screen passes, which was 18th in the NFL in terms of screen pass rate. That's right. screen pass rate.
Yeah.
18th in the NFL.
Damn important.
So again, 11% of Vikings pass attempts were screens. The Dolphins led the league 20% with Tua. 20% of the Dolphins passing attempts were screens. Now Tyreek Hill, they got some weapons on the outside. So these aren't just your ordinary running back screens. Some of these are like little bubble screens to receivers like Tyreek Hill to get a quick 7 yards off the line of scrimmage.
Like a guy like Ty Felton. Mm-hmm.
Could be a Ty Felton Vikings draft pick situation. The other three teams besides the Dolphins that ran the most screens last year, interestingly, were the Bears with rookie Caleb, the Broncos with rookie Bo Nix, and the Commanders with rookie Jaden Daniels.
Those last two make sense.
I smell a pattern.
Got your young quarterback. You want to set some easy short throws up. Get that ball out quick, right? Avoid the pass rush. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'll stop. I've got more where this came from, but I'll stop there and say Dolphins, part of their inspiration is let's not expose Tua to dropping back and getting hit as often because of the concussion issues, I'm sure. So let's get the ball out. 1 in every 5 pass attempts for the Dolphins is a screen just to eliminate the possibility of Tua getting hit and use your fast weapons on the edge. But the fact that the Bears, the Broncos, and the Commanders, not that the Bears were a model for how to run an offense last year, but all of those coaching staff said, let's just get some quick, easy decision throws out for these rookie quarterbacks. Well, the Vikings have J.J. McCarthy stepping in for the first time.
And the Broncos and Commanders for sure are intriguing because that's two young quarterbacks who had good years. And that, I mean, we've always talked about this, and it's always been, to me, one of the biggest flaws that the Vikings don't have a better screen game. It's because it's an extension. It's the first extension of the run game, right? So, like, why don't you have that? And I think the problem was previously offensive line was a problem, so blocking became a problem. I don't know if the Vikings' previous QBs, I seem to recall Kirk was not great at the screen game, oddly, which seemed weird. So, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Like, when you're going through, why did they sign Ty Felton? And also Rondale Moore. So, like, why are those guys offensively here? Probably because you've got Justin Jefferson, Addison. Those guys can catch the deep passes. Those guys can catch the ordinary passes, and they're great at that. So I could very well see that the Vikings, Phil, went through that list that you just went through and said, oh, hold on a second here. If we're going to, everything's about insulating J.J. McCarthy to make him as successful as possible, right? Like that's sort of the starting point of this entire offseason build. Then it makes a lot of sense that you're going to give yourself every possible chance, because it's not like KO can't call screens. And I cannot believe that he doesn't like them. Like, they are a friend of play calling, because if your run game is not going great, the screen game gives you an opportunity to basically have a run game, and voila, now instead of being 3rd and 13, you're 3rd and 4. So it would make a lot of sense that the Vikings are doing a lot of things that jump out to us as far as trying to give McCarthy as good a chance as possible. But this, to me, feels like one where they're just quietly, because you're clearly not going to come out and say, hey, we're just going to run a bunch of screens in 2025.
Yeah.
This one makes sense as far as how can we also put him in the best situation to succeed and not get in 3rd and long, which is the last thing that you want for him.
I also found some J.J. McCarthy college screen pass statistics, if you're interested, from Michigan.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Coach Harbaugh?
Yeah, this is from 2023 at Michigan, and there's a lot of context missing here. We'd have to probably go and like pair it with the film to see what actually happened on these screen passes. But he was when J.J. McCarthy was behind center, 8% of his dropbacks were screen passes, which is less than the Vikings rate, the 11% rate. He was 31 for 31 on those screen passes. So he had no problem, clearly, because that's a problem for some quarterbacks. I remember it being kind of a problem for Cousins at times.
That's what I'm saying. I think it was. I think he just wasn't great at it.
Because it does take a little. You think like, oh, you're just dumping it off to a running back. Yeah, but you're also. I think we lost old Dex's internet.
Where'd Declan go?
We'll carry on without a pilot. But I think there's an art, because obviously the offensive line is letting the defense come through, and so you're throwing it over sometimes a jumping edge rusher or a 320-pound defensive tackle coming at you. So there is like an art and a touch to it. So he was 31 for 31 on screen passes his last year at Michigan, but the average yards per attempt was only 4.5 yards, and of those 31 passes, only 7 were first downs, which seems like kind of a low rate. And his PFF grade was only 71.8 on those screen passes. So he completed all of them, but maybe these were some 3rd and 16s where they were just like, let's run a screen and gain 5 yards and be done with the drive or something. We need more context.
Right. Yeah, I feel like Harbaugh's the type of coach too who very probably liked to run so much that he did not use the screen as much, and the Michigan run game at that time was probably so damn good that they probably didn't have to necessarily rely on a screen game. But yeah, to your point about the screen pass, I would argue that when we talk about quarterbacks being point guards and point guards being quarterbacks, I think the screen pass is probably the best comparison to a basketball play for a quarterback, right? Because it's like, it's got to have touch to it. It's a difficult pass. Like a good point guard makes passes that look easy into traffic, but if you really go back and watch them, they're not. So yeah, this is one where I do think that there is a skill there, but I also believe that for McCarthy, if he indeed has the touch, it puts you in a position, and a guy like Felton too, who can explode, put his foot in the ground and explode. A guy like Felton too can probably turn an expected gain of 6 yards, 8 yards into 30 yards.
Yeah. A couple more nuggets here. You wanted screen pass statistics. I'm giving you screen pass.
Declan's back.
All right.
It's good to see it.
There was a blip. There was speaking of a screen pass going the other way. I think something might have happened there. A little pick six. But we're back now. The offense is back on the field. We're gonna try to make up for that points.
The internet gremlins celebrating in front of the camera with a pose, Cam Bynum style. So the Vikings were 27th in the NFL last year in yards per attempt on screens. So the Vikings averaged 5.1 yards per attempt on screens. The Cardinals led the NFL at 8.2. So they averaged 3 more yards per screen pass attempt. Now, James Conner broke a couple. There might be some skewed math here, because I remember distinctly James Conner breaking a couple huge screen pass plays for either touchdowns or like 67-yard gains. So maybe that throws the math a little bit. But there were 5 other teams over 7 yards per attempt, so 2 yards more per attempt than the Vikings. The Ravens, the Colts, the Lions with Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, a great screen pass team. The Saints, and then the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers with old Baker Mayfield back there. So, yeah, they were one of the 5 or 6 worst teams in the league in terms of yards per attempt on screens. It's still 5 yards, and it's like a run, a successful run. So I don't think you would say this is like an unsuccessful play. And I'll give you one more here because you asked for it. Aaron Jones had the second most screen pass receptions among all running backs last year. He had 29 screens. So they tried to get it to him.
He's got the soft hands, baby.
He does.
He does. Yep.
But he was just 20th in yards per attempt on screen pass receptions. He had 7.5 yards per attempt on his end. But that was actually behind both David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. So the Lions had 2 guys ahead of him. David Montgomery averaged 10.8 yards per reception on screen passes, and Jahmyr Gibbs was at 8.5, which is about a full yard ahead of where Aaron Jones was. So I don't know that Jordan Mason is going to be better than Aaron Jones in that regard. So the Vikings might just be kind of, it's Aaron Jones for this year, and then maybe they find somebody that kind of fills in as the complement long-term to Jordan Mason. But yeah, they've got, the big picture take here is, A, Judd wanted screen game stats, and we gave Judd screen game stats here.
I'm very happy about this.
But B, it seems like it makes sense to hammer this and spam this a little bit with a first-year quarterback, but they have to be better at it. They just weren't. And maybe some of it's offensive line related too, because those guys have to get out into space,
and that's
get their hands on the linebackers, and run up the sidewalk, as they say, Judd.
Oh, I love it.
That's right.
I also think that part of what we don't talk about in the screen game enough is probably the nuanced time of the release by the linemen, because they do call ineligible man downfield. So, like in the anticipation of a screen game, you can't get too excited. If you're a guard, right, you can't get, oh man, I'm going to go down and block this, and now you're 2-3 yards downfield. The pass is not thrown yet. So, like, this is I would say that the screen game is like an orchestra. It's an orchestra where you're conducting a lot of things, like everything in sports. When it's done well, it's like, oh, of course it works. It's easy. But then, like, go back and dissect it, and it's easy once the pass is complete if the blocking is right. But that's a lot to get to. So yeah, I think that I think two of the things that the Vikings probably privately have prioritized offensively are the thing that we talked about a week ago, which is yak, because it doesn't take a lot to go from bad yak to good yak. It's not like it's an 8-yard difference, and this one. And those are two, like, seemingly small things, but if you add them up over the course of a 17-game season, I think they both become incredibly important.
Yeah. So
you
that's
delivered.
Something,
thank you.
Yeah. Oh,
that was
anytime.
Good.
Anytime Judd's Camp Notes requests some preparation for
good Aaron Jones stuff.
Yeah, I feel like this would be a fun thing for, not to tell Judd's Camp Notes how to do his job come OTAs and minicamps, but I'd be curious what Kevin O'Connell's thoughts are on some of this stuff. Do you believe in the screen game as a way to take some pressure off of, how does the offensive line factor in? You've swapped out 60% of your starting offensive line. Is that if there was a pie chart of screen game success, how much of it is quarterback and ball placement, running back ability to miss the first tackle, offensive line getting out in space and
I think
at least moving guys around,
I think the change in the interior offensive line is going to be one of the most intriguing things, because I think that's going to have an impact on the offense beyond what we think. I really do. I think it's going to be enormous. So,
yeah. Okay, Judd has we go around the room here, kind of taking turns every week with our hottest Vikings take throughout the offseason. But we'll put a bow on.
Anybody got any Vikings news?
We're all out until next week, Judd. So we'll get you some more Vikings news next week. If it breaks, it's kind of a slow time. If any news breaks, we'll get there. But Federated Insurance helping to power latest Vikings news, just like they're powering a lot of businesses. It's like having a great offensive line. They can get out there in space and protect you. They can focus on safety and preventing claims and risk management, and you get to focus on growing your business. Federated has been helping businesses since 1904, based in Owatonna, Minnesota, but now they've got a presence in all 50 states across the country. So if you're looking for a great insurance partnership to help you elevate your business through risk management, you can check them out at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. And the weekly hottest Vikings take is always presented by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, Dax.
Yeah, so it's standard heating, and if the air conditioning season, I know that was a big thing last week. We had temperatures in the 90s degrees. Standard got a ton of calls on it. Come fix this air conditioning. Well, now it's cooler in the Twin Cities, right? You don't have to maybe be cranking that AC, which is a perfect time to contact Standard and get them out here to take a look at that AC maintenance before something goes on the fritz when it's 90 degrees again, right? You can join their Smart Club too, which gives you a discount on repairs plus priority booking. So if you need that AC tuned up and you need someone to look at that HVAC, go contact Standard Heating. Go to standardheating.com.
All right, Judd, what is your hottest Vikings take?
All right. This came to me. I was watching Game 7, the OKC game, Denver, and I thought to myself, Sports Dad, do you've got any hot Vikings takes for tomorrow's show? And this came to me like a bolt of lightning, like from the heavens. I don't know where it came from, but I am the conduit for this, okay? So my hottest Vikings take is this. Justin Jefferson will become the first ever NFL wide receiver to win the NFL MVP, and he will do it in the next 3 seasons. So he will become the first ever. Is this a hot take? Let me give you the facts.
I mean, yes, it's for sure a hot take.
The
I'd love to hear the facts.
The AP award here, which is so the league itself does not have an MVP that it recognizes internally, so they go to the AP award. The award dates back to 1957. In that time, and there have been 3 or 4 occasions where 2 guys have split the MVP. So in that time, quarterbacks have won it 48 times. Running backs have won it 14 times. Fullbacks have won it 4 times. Now, I'll explain that quickly. Jim Brown won it 3 times, and Jim Taylor of the Packers once. They would now be considered running backs, okay? So it's really...
A kicker won it 1 time, too.
I'm not... Yep. A linebacker, Lawrence Taylor, Giants, 1986 won it. A defensive tackle, Alan Page, your Vikings, 1971 won it. And then Mark Mosley in 1982 in a strike-shortened season in which, by the way, he missed a field goal attempt and missed 3 extra point attempts, won the MVP, the craziest thing of all time.
It's amazing.
But a wide receiver has never won this award. The closest that it's come is in 1987, Jerry Rice got 30 votes to finish second to Broncos quarterback John Elway, who had 36 votes in a season in which Jerry Rice had 65 receptions for 1,078 yards and 22 touchdowns. But I think that within the next 3 years, pairing with J.J. McCarthy, Justin Jefferson is going to win this. Here's why. One is, I think we have crossed into a new realm of National Football League observance and viewing, in which the wide receiver is becoming more and more like the running back was at one time. And this is not to say the run game is dead. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is wide receivers more and more now, I think, are absolutely, if they have the right quarterback, and I'll explain this in a second, difference makers that are more appreciated, more front and center. Justin Jefferson, in my opinion, is the best receiver in a league filled with great ones right now. Now, the comeback is going to be, okay, sports dad, you smarty pants. What about why, if Jefferson's going to win it, why wouldn't J.J. McCarthy win it? And here's my response in thinking about this. Number one, I think and this is not a problem internally, but I think one is the perception is going to be J.J. McCarthy is a product of O'Connell, who right now is incredibly respected as a quarterback coach. Yes. We all think, right or wrong, and Darnold sort of proved this, that Kevin O'Connell's a cheat code. And so I think we take some of the credit away from the quarterback and say, and this, in my opinion, is a national perspective. We all say, well, Kevin O'Connell, though, come on, he's got O'Connell. The other thing is, with what Jefferson brings, I think he's going to be featured enough where he is going to separate himself from other receivers. So within the next 3 years, my hot take is Justin Jefferson becomes the first ever NFL MVP.
I think you first of all, it's absolutely a hot take. So the diagnosis is yes, that is a proper hot take. It's kind of wild that at no point in NFL history and it's mostly a quarterback award, especially in the last 25 years. But at no point since like the mid 1950s did anyone ever pop up, a Jerry Rice, a Terrell Owens, or somebody. But you kind of touched on it. The conditions have to be so perfect for a wide receiver to win this award. Number one, quarterback is the most influential offensive position, and so it has to be a year in which there's not a quarterback throwing for like 5,000 yards and 45 or 50 touchdowns. I feel like if there's a quarterback or two having a Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, or go back to Patrick Mahomes when he was putting up bigger offensive numbers, if there's a quarterback performing at that level, zero chance for a non-quarterback to win the MVP. So that's condition number one. It has to be a little bit of a down year for quarterbacks at the top of the list. Number two, when you put up huge historic numbers as a receiver, Calvin Johnson did it a couple times where he flirted with 2,000 yards like 10 years ago. Well, your quarterback is also putting up ridiculous numbers. I think that was the year, didn't Matthew Stafford throw for like 5,000 yards the year that Calvin Johnson flirted with 2,000 yards? So it has to be it has to be a historical season or close to it for a receiver where he probably has to get to 2,000 yards, and probably has to break a record of some kind, which 2,000 yards would be breaking a record. And it would have to be viewed, to your point, that he was elevating the quarterback more than the quarterback was elevating him, and maybe the quarterback is even being elevated by the head coach. And that window only exists for quarterbacks in maybe their first couple seasons. Because if you get beyond that, then all of a sudden, like, well, the quarterback is a made man. In year one, the quarterback's this is all just perception, not reality necessarily. The quarterback's being schemed up by a coach and propped up by one of the best wide receivers in NFL history. So if for all those conditions to be met at the same time, you see why it's so hard for a wide receiver to win the MVP award. But this would be, I would say, like you said, the next 3 years, I would say it has to happen like maybe this year, maybe next year, because if J.J. McCarthy is good enough to get Justin Jefferson the 2,000 yards needed to maybe qualify for the MVP award, by the time you get to the second year of J.J. McCarthy, people are going to look at him like, oh, man, this guy is awesome. And you'd start to give more credit to quarterback than wide receiver. So, but it's fascinating. It doesn't happen. It doesn't. And even that year that Calvin Johnson, I looked this up. It was 2012. It was the year Peterson won the MVP. And Calvin Johnson had 122 catches for 1,964 yards, and he received 2 votes for MVP. Yeah. Peterson got 36. Peyton Manning got 8%. Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers got votes.
I think the caveat, too, is that you have to be on a team that has a great season.
So you got to win 12 games.
So, like, if Jefferson is on a 9-win team and puts up phenomenal stats, he's got no chance. No, I'm saying perfect storm here. I'm saying it all comes together where the Vikings win 13 or 14 games. McCarthy's outstanding. Jefferson, in this sense, would sort of be seen like Peterson was, though, in 2012. Like, he's the bell cow. But, yeah, if you are on an okay team as a receiver, I don't care what you do, you got no chance.
Yeah, and by the way, that Lions team was 4-12. So that would disqualify. So just to go through the qualifiers then, for Jefferson to win an MVP, all of the other quarterbacks in the league have to be not quite at that level. Like the way that Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, there's got to be probably a couple of injuries, or they just have kind of down seasons.
Yep.
Number 2, the Vikings have to be really good, like at least 10 or 11 wins. I think they were 10 wins the year that Adrian Peterson won the MVP. And it was deemed that he carried a bad team to the division title. There's some perception involved. Number 3, the quarterback getting you the 2,000 yards has to be viewed as lesser than because of either coaching or his age or because he's being lifted up by a receiver. And then 4, you have to put up the ridiculous numbers that are historic. So you're kind of checking all those boxes. I think if Saquon Barkley had opted to play the last game and broke the rushing record, I think there's a chance he would have won MVP, but he was competing against 2 or 3 incredible quarterback seasons at a position that just gets the most votes. So this is a fun take because this is sort of plausible over the next 2 years.
It feels like it's eventually going to be time too. Like it is to me, to your point from before, it is unbelievable that no receiver has done this. Like, Jerry Rice got votes. Jerry Rice easily could have won one. Yeah. And it would have been, it wouldn't have been a shock. So the other thing with Jefferson, don't discount this as well. And Rice, I think Rice had this too in his defense, but a lot of receivers don't, is Jefferson's very well liked. T.O. was this lightning rod, right? And receivers are usually a mercurial bunch. Like, they're not normal. Justin Jefferson's about as normal as it gets, and I don't think it's an act. Can't tell for sure, but I think he's legitimately a decent guy. Yeah. So I'm just saying that could definitely sway some votes because it's done by people that cover the game, and you can say, well, that shouldn't. Who cares? It matters to them sometimes. That's a very small thing, but I just think that there's a lot of things that potentially add up for Jefferson to end this drought that goes back to 1957.
Yeah, I guess there's one more scenario kind of adjacent where a receiver could do it. I think Malik Neighbors would fall into this category this year. Jefferson fell into it last year if he would have had a bigger season, where the quarterback is either deemed a bust or bad or over the hill and comes in and has a reclamation season. Like 98, Randall Cunningham is a great example. Now, Randy Moss did not win. I think he was Offensive Player of the Year. He got some run.
And he got a few votes in MVP.
But Randy Moss, it was viewed, that even though Cunningham was really good at one point in his career, think Russell Wilson, for example, in New York, it was viewed that, Randy Moss and Chris Carter are bringing Randall Cunningham's career back from the dead. It's like, well, Cunningham, yeah, he may have kind of fizzled out there, but Cunningham was like one of the best quarterbacks of the 90s at two different stops. But the perception being in New York, for example, and I don't know that Malik Neighbors is this level good, capable of it, but he was a high first-round draft pick, that Russell Wilson's career is in the toilet. But, hey, Malik Neighbors is there, and he goes for 2,000 yards and catches 130 passes or something. You'd give more credit to Neighbors than you would Russell Wilson, just because of perception and narrative. But I like it.
That's it.
I like it. Make it a write that down prediction.
It's my hot take. I just might.
You should go on the record.
That would be a home run or a touchdown pass from like 99 yards. It would be Gus Frerotte to Berrien.
Yes, it would.
That's what that would be.
Yeah, was that Gus Frerotte elevating Berrien, or was it Berrien elevating Gus Frerotte?
It might have been a fluke.
Or just a straight up fluke. Could be that. All right, you guys. Tomorrow, Craig Kilborn, our friend, Lord Kilby, makes his debut on Purple Daily. We also have NFL takes coming at you, and we'll keep an eye on the epicenter of the NFL universe. The tush push vote and the NFL playoff seeding votes are happening this week in the Twin Cities, with everyone congregating over by the Vikings facility. So we'll see what happens there. And don't forget, tonight on this Monday at Bricksworth in the North Loop, Minneapolis, if you are a Timberwolves fan, we're going to be doing, the three of us here are going to be doing a Flagrant Howls Unplugged event at Bricksworth in the North Loop from 5 to 7 o'clock, kicking off Western Conference Finals Week, Wolves, Oklahoma City. So if you're a crossover Timberwolves fan who listens to Purple Daily, come hang out with us. We'd love to hang out with as many of you as possible. Talk some Wolves, OKC, 5 to 7 o'clock at Bricksworth in the North Loop, Minneapolis. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. We'll see you tomorrow.